I have two children that I've been teaching the idea of saving and working for what they want. Sometimes they have spent considerable time doing chores around the house, finding ways to earn money, and gathering that savings from both now and from the past. It then comes time to buy the item they want. We go to the store, and sometimes they've looked on that online shopping cart, ready to make that purchase, ready to buy the item that they've been saving for so long for. And they come to that moment when it's time to give up all that they've worked for, and they think to themselves, it's not worth a month's worth of work for the item I wanted to buy. They want to keep the money for something of greater value in their eyes. This week's scripture verse is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 17 and 18. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more and exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we do not look at the things which are seen, but the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. The point of these verses is for us to realize we are building a treasure trove of eternal rewards, not temporary benefits while we live on this earth. Verse 17 talks about this light affliction versus the weight of glory. You know, it's really quite the word picture. We have this scale, one thing that is very light and one thing that is great. Ask anybody, almost any age, and we always have something to complain about. My back, my ankle. It could be a disease, or I'm always having headaches. Or for some, it's an emotional type issue, such as fear, doubt, disappointment in their family, in their work, or maybe in themselves. I think the Apostle Paul could relate to almost all those things. He went and he said many of those in his letters and in his epistles. However, he contrasts this with the other side of the scale, eternal weight of glory. An injured ankle, a disappointment, versus being with God forever. Here is a second comparison. He goes on to say in verse 17, the temporary versus eternal. He uses the word for a moment in verse number 17 when he starts off by saying, well, we do not look at things which are seen, but the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary. Then he talks about the opposite time frame, far more exceeding and eternal. The first application I would like you to think about is to take a moment and to think of some fellow Christians in our church who is helping point you away from just the temporary things of today or of difficulties and daily problems, and is instead pointing you to the weight of glory of being with God when your suffering will be over. Now think of somebody at work or in the community, or maybe somebody else that's been a friend for many years, and how they talk about their life, whether the aches and the pains, or maybe that new toy, or the other temporal item. Now let's think about our own lives. What has been our conversation so far this week? What have we been taking more time to talk about with others? About the temporary or about the eternal? Paul then elaborates on this idea by saying, we do not look at the things which are seen, but the things which are not seen. Maybe you spent some time this last few months here watching the Olympics this summer. In some of these sporting events, the competitors can see the finish line, but they envision themselves on the podium as something that has not yet been seen. They know what needs to be done to arrive there. They need to expel great energy. They've expended great money and time, and plus a lot of pain, trying to be the first, to be the best. They know it will be hard, yet they envision themselves on the podium or maybe holding that trophy. When they reach the point, they have always said it was worth it. The verse concludes by saying, for the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Are you living your Christian life with the mindset, I'm doing this for Jesus? I'm pushing through temporary loss, pain, sacrifice, so I can be with him and hear the words, well done. Are you thinking about your words redeeming the time for the gospel? And how will we respond today to be heavy in the value of future glory? In conclusion, there is nothing wrong with having goals and aspirations and trying to meet them in this world. But realize that many of the goals we have are for our own pleasure and our earthly reward. These two verses focus our need to not just be looking at today, but looking at the future. I hope that you will see this week to make your response to challenges you face become of greater value, like spiritual gold stored up for eternity.